subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year. But why are we subsidizing Canada?
Canada becoming a 51st state.
Yeah. I still believe that, but
or never for sale.
But never say never.
Imagine this. The leader of the free world sits across from Canada's Prime Minister and suggests once again that Canada should become the 51st state of the United States.
This afternoon, Donald Trump's delusions about Canada becoming a 51st state were met with a hard no from Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney inside the Oval Office.
He calls our trade relationship a $200 billion subsidy and insists that the U.S. does not need Canadian steel, aluminum, or cars. This is no exaggeration. This has been said by President Trump repeatedly.
By not trading, we're losing nothing. So we're saving $1 trillion. We also have a situation, because everyone says, when are you going to sign deals? We don't have to sign deals. We could sign 25 deals right now, Howard, if we wanted. We don't have to sign deals. They have to sign deals with us. They want a piece of our market. We don't want a piece of their market. We don't care about their market. They want a piece of our market.
Today, May 6th, Prime Minister Mark Carney met with President Donald Trump at the White House. The meeting started off with an odd, friendly, but tense vibe, with Carney firmly stating Canada is not for sale.
As you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
That's true.
We're sitting in one right now, Buckingham Palace that you visited as well.
That's true.
And having met with the owners of Canada over the course of the campaign last several months, it's not for sale, won't be for sale ever.
Trump's response? Never say never.
But never say never. Never say never.
In this video, we'll dissect what transpired during this high-stakes meeting, analyze the implications of Trump's statements, and demystify the myths surrounding the so-called subsidy and the trade deficit. We'll also explore the fundamental differences in population and economic structures between our two nations. I noted that in my previous video where I spoke about the $200 billion so-called subsidy, a lot of my viewers mentioned the population difference. So I really wanted to talk about that today. But before we dive in, if you appreciate content that breaks down complex political events into understandable insights, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Your support helps me reach more viewers to keep you informed. Today's meeting between Prime Minister Carney and President Trump had an interesting start. While the official agenda included discussions on trade and bilateral relations, the conversation quickly veered into controversial territory. Trump reiterated his desire for Canada to become the 51st state, a notion he has floated multiple times in the past.
You have said that Canada should become the 51st state.
Yeah. No. Well, I still believe that, but takes two to tango, right? But no, I do. I mean, I believe it would be a massive tax cut for the Canadian citizens. You get free military, you get tremendous medical cares and other things. There would be a lot of advantages, but it would be a massive tax cut. And it's also a beautiful, as a real estate developer, I'm a real estate developer at heart. When you get rid of that artificially drawn line, somebody drew that line many years ago with like a ruler, just a straight line right across the top of the country. When you look at that beautiful formation when it's together, I'm a very artistic person, but when I looked at that beauty, I said, that's the way it was meant to be.
Carney responded stating, Canada is not for sale.
Well, if I may, as you know from real estate, there are some places that are never for sale.
And Trump's reply, never say never.
They have, I must say, Canada is stepping up the military participation because Mark knew, they were low and now they're stepping it up, and that's a very important thing. But never say never. Never say never.
This left many questioning the seriousness of his intentions. This exchange wasn't just a diplomatic error. It signaled a deeper misunderstanding of the nature of the U.S.-Canada relations and raised concerns about the future of our partnership. One of the most contentious claims made by President Trump is that the United States provides a $200 billion subsidy.
No, I mean, it's hard to justify subsidizing Canada to the tune of maybe $200 billion a year.
This figure is not only misleading, but fundamentally misrepresents the nature of international trade. In reality, the U.S. trade deficit with Canada in 2024 was approximately $45 billion. This figure represents the difference between what the U.S. imports from Canada and what it exports to Canada.
But why are we subsidizing Canada $200 billion a year, or whatever the number might be? It's a very substantial number. And it's hard for the American taxpayer to say, gee whiz, we love doing that.
It's crucial to understand that a trade deficit is not a subsidy. The definition of a subsidy is a financial contribution provided by a government to support a specific industry or economic sector. It's an intentional policy tool used to promote certain activities or reduce the cost of goods and services. In contrast, a trade deficit arises when a country imports more goods and services than it exports. It's a reflection of consumer demand and economic dynamics, not a deliberate financial support to another nation. Therefore, labeling the trade deficit as a subsidy is not only inaccurate, but also undermines the complexity of international trade relations. To further understand the trade dynamics between Canada and the United States, we must consider the significant difference in population sizes. United States population is approximately 330 million. Canada's population is approximately 38 million. With nearly 10 times the population, it's natural for the US to import more goods simply due to the higher need and consumer demand. This disparity plays a significant role in the trade balance and should not be misconstrued as Canada taking advantage of the US. Moreover, Canada's economy is heavily reliant on natural resources, which are in high demand in the US. This interdependence benefits both nations and undermines the importance of maintaining a balanced and respectful trade relationship. Canada is rich in natural resources, including oil, lumber, and minerals. These resources are not only vital to Canada's economy, but also play a crucial role in supporting industries in the United States. President Trump's assertion that the US doesn't need Canadian steel, aluminum, or cars overlooks the integrated nature of our supply chains. For instance, Canadian aluminum is essential for US manufacturing, and our automotive industries are deeply interconnected. Disrupting this synergy through tariffs or political posturing could have detrimental effects on both economies. It's imperative to recognize the mutual benefits derived from our trade relations. They say history repeats itself, right? Well, George W. Bush also implemented tariffs on steel during his administration.
I decided that imports were severely affecting our industry, an important industry, had a negative impact, and therefore provide temporary relief so that the industry could restructure itself. It's exactly what the World Trade Organization allows for.
In March 2002, his administration imposed temporary tariffs ranging from 8 to 30% on various categories of imported steel. The rationale was to give the struggling U.S. steel industry a breathing space to restructure and become more competitive amid a surge of cheap imports, particularly from Europe and Asia. The outcome? While some U.S. steel producers saw short-term gains, the broader effect on the U.S. economy was negative.
If you increase the price of steel, then that has an impact on a whole bunch of other industries.
Industries that relied heavily on steel, like automotive manufacturing, construction, and machinery, face significantly higher input costs. According to a study by the Consuming Industries Trade Action Coalition, approximately 200,000 American jobs were lost as a result of the increased steel prices. This was surpassing the total number of workers in the steel industry at the time. So what will the results be? Will it be another George W. Bush mistake, but on steroids? I don't know, I guess we'll have to see. Now let's talk about this distorted idea of Canada becoming the 51st state. This is not new, but President Trump's Repeated references have reignited this controversial topic. While some may dismiss it as a political theater, it's essential to address the implications of such rhetoric. Canada is a sovereign nation with its own identity, governance, and values. The suggestion of annexation disregards our autonomy and the principles upon which this country was founded. Moreover, public opinion in Canada overwhelmingly opposes the notion of becoming part of the United States. Our distinct healthcare system, cultural values, and political structures are integral to our national identity. Therefore, it's crucial to challenge narratives that threaten Canada's sovereignty and to reaffirm our commitment to maintaining an independent Canada. In light of these developments, it's imperative for Canadians to stay informed and engaged. Understanding the nuances of our trade relationships and the political dynamics right now is so crucial. Well, folks, that's all for now. If you found this analysis insightful, please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more in-depth discussion on current events. Your support helps me tremendously to reach a wider audience and continue providing quality content. Thank you so much for watching.